I am Samuel. I'm an artist, an audio engineer, and a producer based in Dubai. So, this is the first video of my series, Production Breakdown. So, in this first video, I'll be breaking down one of the sessions from the song Montage, which is produced by Audio Panda, which is a group that I'm a part of. And so yeah, without any further ado, let's get into the video. So right now I have my Logic session open. So this track's basically been produced on Logic and Pro Tools. So this song is not completely produced using MIDI instruments. It also contains some acoustic instruments which we recorded in the studios. So now for the first part of this video, I'm just going to go through the elements that I've created using MIDI. And it's not a lot, it's just a couple of pads, some synths here and there. I feel like that combined with the acoustic instruments that we recorded just creates a wonderful experience. So let's get into the session. So one of the first tracks I have here is a demo version of the song. So this was recorded by the songwriter Ananya, who's also part of Audio Panda. So she recorded herself just singing along with the guitar, and she's added some effects, some EQ, some reverbs, which is completely fine because we're still in the production phase. And this is just a sort of demo because this is something I requested because I find myself working better when I have a demo or a reference to work on top of. So that's the only reason we have this demo here. So I'll just play the demo in solo so you guys can hear what it sounds like.
I let my life move past because it's easier to leave behind.
So that's just the demo. It's the guitar and her vocals. It does sound wonky at some points. It's not the quality of her recording. It's just I've applied some time correction using flex time on Logic, which is a feature similar to elastic audio on Pro Tools. If you're a Pro Tools user, you know what elastic audio is. So it's just some time correction that I applied in parts of the song just so it fits the grid, it fits the tempo, and the song is playing in a constant tempo because it's not easy to do a full performance in tempo, even if you have a metronome. That's completely understandable. So that's one of the reasons I applied time correction on the demo track. But it really doesn't matter because this demo track is not going to make it onto the final song. It's just something that I'm using for the production only. So next I also have bass, which I have recorded using MIDI. It's a MIDI instrument. It's the Stinger bass, which is a default Logic sound. This bass actually also doesn't make it to the final version of the song. We have the bass recorded in the studios. We have an actual bassist come in and record for us, and I was fortunate enough to have my lecturer, Mr. Randy, record bass for us. So that is I'll be showing you the bass in the second part of the video because the bass that we recorded is on Pro Tools because the studios, we use Pro Tools in the studios, and therefore the bass recording was in Pro Tools. So anyways, I'm going to move on. So next we have a grand piano, which I added in the production. It's a MIDI instrument, and what I used for this grand piano sound was Analog Lab 4 by Arturia. This is a great virtual instrument that I use for most of my productions, and I would highly recommend to any producer. It is a bit of an investment. It is something that you'll have to invest in. It is a paid software after all, but it is a great software. And I've used the German small concert preset on the Arturia Analog Lab 4, and I have tweaked it a little bit. I've changed the hammer hardness, the soundboard resonance, reverb, delay, and so on, just to suit the song and the genre better. So that's the piano sound, and I'll just play the piano sound for you so you can hear what it sounds like. And here's what it sounds like in the context of the song.
I've got running on my mind, on my track, rush.
So yeah, that's that. So something I have to mention at this point is that this song at this point is not mixed. Although I have applied a sort of rough balance to the song, that is just for me to have a basic idea of what I want the song to sound like. And when I'm showing my other teammates the production, it's just easier for them to also visualize what the end product would sound like. So it's just rough balance that I've done here. A proper mix would be done on Pro Tools later, and I would love to get into a video for the mix session, but that's something that I want to keep for later, for some other time, some other video. But let's move on with the production elements in this song. So I have a soft piano kind of sound going on here. So it's just playing chords in the first chorus. So this soft piano sound is again from Arturia's Analog Lab 4. It's from the Pigment synth, which is also by Arturia, and I've used synthwave reverse preset, and I've again tweaked it a little bit just for it to sound better in the context of the song. And this is what the soft piano sounds all by itself. So it's got this sort of oscillator which changes the sound with time. It changes the amplitude and the character of the sound a little bit. So it's got this sort of this like filter. So like the filter moves. So the oscillator basically controls the filter. If you're somebody who's into synthesis, you'll probably know what I mean. This sound has two oscillators going on. One is for volume, and one is for controlling the filter sweep. So it's basically a filter sweep. So those are two oscillators going on in the soft piano. I think it's a very interesting sound, and it works well in the song. So next I have a solid clav, which is a preset. It's a default sound by Logic, and it's got this very interesting sound. Is an interesting character, and in context of the song, to me, it sounded like a little electric guitar, and I really liked the way it sounded in the song. That's one of the reasons I kept it. And basically, the MIDI notes for the solid clav are actually the same notes as the soft piano bit, so it's just same notes copied. But it has a very interesting texture, and I'll just play it in context of the song so you can hear and you can see what I mean.
Any chance I get to go back, slow me down for a moment.
So that's the solid clav on its own.
Remind me of what was, it could have been.
So I think it adds a very interesting character and tone. So that's the solid clav. So next I have another instrument here, it's actually the same synthwave reverse preset from Analog Lab 4. The same one that I've used for the soft piano. So it's the same sound, but as I mentioned earlier, this sound has an oscillator. So this oscillator basically changes the character of the sound with time. So what happens is when you play this note, this instrument with a long sustain, or like you play it for a long period of time, it creates this sort of reverse riser kind of effect, which is really cool. So I'll just play it in solo so you guys can listen to it and you guys know what I'm talking about. So yeah, that's the sound I'm talking about. It's a very interesting sound. It acts as sort of like a transition into the chorus, and that's one of the reasons why I used it, because I want that transition, and I think it sounds great. So I have some instruments here, but these are instruments that come in the second verse, so I'll get into that later. So I'll just talk about the instruments that are coming here, that come into the song in the first verse and the first chorus, before moving on to the rest of the song. So another element that I've added here is this instrument, which is also from Analog Lab 4. So just give it a moment. Yeah, so this is an ambient preset from Analog Lab 4, and I've also tweaked the settings of it again, and I've actually bounced this MIDI note in place, just because the oscillator actually changes. The sound of the oscillator changes each time you play it, so I wanted that constant sound. I didn't want the oscillator giving me a different sound each time I played it. So that's one of the reasons I bounced instead of using the MIDI notes. So this is what it sounds like. The bounced version sounds like. So it kind of sounds like a sine wave. It sounds like very squeaky, but I find it adding a very ambient sort of drone kind of sound in the chorus. So this is what it sounds like in the chorus with the rest of the elements.
Take any chance I get to go back, slow me down for a moment. I wish that I had the innocence to remind me of what was and could have been.
So yeah, that's what it sounds like. I think it adds a variation in the production, which is something that's very important. Again, if you're a producer and you've been producing for a while, you probably know the rule of thumb, which is adding variation into your production every 4 bars or 8 bars. This really benefits your production, makes it more interesting, keeps your listener hooked to your song, and it makes your production less loopy, I would say. So what I mean by loopy is when you don't have these elements which add variation to your production, it sounds very it sounds very boring. It sounds like the same thing over and over again. It causes that ear fatigue. It gets boring to the listener. So it's important to add these small elements here and there, just to add some variation, just to add some change into your production, just to make it more interesting. So one of the other elements I have here is Above the Clouds, which is a pad, again a Logic default sound. It's from the Logic sound library, and I think it sounds great. It's got this sort of shimmer kind of texture, which I think is beautiful, which adds a lot of emotion, a lot of ambience into the song. So this is what it sounds like in solo. So it's very like shimmery, it's very dreamy, it's that kind of sound. It adds a very interesting texture to the song, to the chorus. Again, helps in creating that variation that we're looking for. So from the pre-chorus, I also have this pad, which is a synth pad, which is from Spitfire Labs. So if you guys haven't heard of Spitfire Labs, it's a free virtual instrument from Spitfire Audio. Labs is their free version. And I think it's a phenomenal virtual instrument. It's amazing. It's got a ton of sounds. So I'm using the synth pad pack that you can download for free from the Labs website. So that's what I'm using here. It's a very smooth sound. It's a very smooth synth sound, and I think it sounds great. So just take a listen to it in solo. So yeah, as you can see, it adds that very dreamy, like really smooth pads. It sounds great. Let's listen to what the effect it adds when I played with the rest of the elements in the song.
But now that I've been forced to stop, I see treasure lies within all I used to be, and I regret it if I could.
So yeah, that's basically the pads. And that's pretty much all the elements that I have in the first verse and the chorus. So now we're going to move on to the second verse. In the second verse, I have this alpha pad, again a default Logic sound. And this alpha pad, I wanted to have a very simple note or a very simple sound for the alpha pad. Because the chorus is filled with instruments, it's crowded. I wanted to tone down the verse a little bit in terms of the instrumentation. I wanted it to be like a fall from the chorus. Like the chorus is filled with instruments, and I wanted to like just tear it down or like rip it apart in the verse and have a more simple instrumentation there. The piano still continues in the second verse and actually continues for the rest of the song. But the alpha pad is very simple. The notes it's playing is just an A sharp in the first octave and the A sharp in the second octave. So that's it. That's pretty much it. It's playing that one note throughout the whole verse. So another element I have going on here is the soft piano. The same soft piano that was playing the chords right here. But instead of playing chords here, because I wanted that more stripped down kind of sound, here it's just playing some fills. And it's a very interesting sound. I really like this sound. So just listen to the effect it adds to the rest of the song.
Now I dream of what I've had,
Again, because this synth sound is a very mid-range sort of sound, it's being masked by a lot of other elements because this is not a mixed version, as I mentioned earlier. But in the mix, it would sound a lot clearer. And I would like to get into a video for the mix, but that's a separate video for some time later. Anyways, another element I have going on here is the alpha pads. It's the same alpha pad that I used here. It's the same preset. But instead of playing that one note, that A sharp, I had playing the chords in this section because I just want to make that transition from the verse to the chorus a little more gradual and not like a big jump. I didn't want to like overwhelm the listener with like a lot of instruments just all coming in together in the chorus. So I just want to make that transition a little more gradual. And that's one of the reasons why I added chords for the alpha pad. And I feel like when you play chords on the alpha pad, it just sounds more smooth. It sounds more fuller when compared to just two notes. So that's the alpha pad. And along with the alpha pad, I have this harp playing this melody here. So this melody, it's sort of like a arpeggio kind of sound. It's a very simple sound. Like I'll just play it to you so you know what I'm talking about. So yeah, it's just that simple arpeggio that's playing in the harp. So when I was actually producing the song, I did experiment with a lot of different sounds. So initially when I was producing, I had the soft piano playing the same arpeggio part, but then I felt like it was very monotonous. It was the same sound over and over again. So I just wanted to create some variation in terms of the tone as well. So that's why I introduced the harp here. So again, it's all about experimenting and seeing what works best for the song. And that's why you'll see a lot of muted clips here and there. It's just me putting different pieces, different parts, and like trial and error. I think that's also a very it's a very valid technique. I don't think there's a wrong way of producing as long as it sounds good. I think like it's still a viable production technique. So anyways, so then I have it going into the transitioning into the chorus, and for the most part the elements in the chorus are the same as the first chorus. The second chorus and the first chorus are the same, except for this one element that I added, which I wanted to add for this very one reason. So it's this sweet bells. So if you listen to the lyrics of the song, it kind of talks about high school memories and memories that you've had in your life. It talks about the past and how your life has changed. It talks a lot about these topics, and in my personal opinion, my personal view, these sweet bells that I've added actually, it sort of has this very nostalgic sort of element. It's like this very childlike and youthful sound. I feel like a lot of people will feel the same way when they listen to the sweet bell sound. So this is sort of my thought process when I added this element. It's like youthful, it's childlike. So we'll just listen to that sweet bell so you know what I'm talking about. So I'll just play it with the rest of the song to see like what effect it adds to the song as a whole.
To get it out, and I create a montage of moments I hold in my heart, so that I can live them over again. Oh.
So yeah, that's the sweet bells. It's a very interesting sound. It has a little bit of delay going on, which is really cool. It just adds a lot of space in the chorus, and I honestly love that sound. It's one of those happy accidents, you know, like when you're producing, like you come across this sound like by an accident, and it just ends up like changing your song for the better. It's one of those happy accidents, and when I showed this to my team members, like we all had like a wow moment. Like we were just amazed by like how great that sweet bell sounded. So that's another element that I've added in the chorus. It's a very interesting sound, and the sweet bells appear in the first chorus and the third chorus. I did try it out for the first chorus as well, but I felt like it was just too early on to introduce that element into the song. I felt like the song would benefit if this came in later. Also because lyrically speaking, this chorus, the chorus in the second and the third, the lyrics in the chorus of the second and third are different from the first one. So I just wanted to create that variation in the production as well. For the most part, the rest of the song is the same. we have the pads going on for the rest of the song. I have the Above the Clouds pads coming in and out at different parts, just to make just to add some variation and make the song sound full at certain sections, and a little more stripped down in the second verse. And then we have, after the second verse and the second chorus, we have a bridge where I strip down most of the elements and I have just the pads, the piano, just a very quiet bit. And then we have all the elements coming back in together, just to create that sort of finale, that very the very instrument heavy ending, because when we produced the song, we had a vision in mind. We just wanted a very powerful ending for the song, because that's how the song was structured lyrically and also in terms of songwriting. So we wanted that sort of grand ending, so that's why we have all the elements coming in the end. And in terms of, if you've noticed, like, there's no drum beat in this song yet. It's because we planned for a drum beat, but we ended up recording it. So we had an actual drummer come in and play the drums for us. And unfortunately, it's not in this Logic session. It's in the Pro Tools session that I'll be showing you next. But at first, what I intended when I first heard the demo, I was thinking of a more electronic kind of sound for the drums. But then when we had a drummer come into the studio and play the drums, I think that completely changed my mind, completely changed my vision for the song, and it just went, it just kept getting better from there. The drums, after we added the drums, we added more elements, and I think it was, we sort of produced this song, like we made changes to the song as we went forward. So we added elements, like we did not, like the vision we had for the song was very different from the way it ended. So like the end product and the vision I had is like completely different. I think I think these are one of those happy accidents. It just ended up sounding great in the end. So yeah. So anyways, I'll be getting into the Pro Tools session next. So the Pro Tools session has the vocals, the bass that we recorded, the drums that we recorded, the guitar that we recorded, and a lot of harmony layers. This session ended up being around 50 to 60 tracks. It's a massive session. It's mainly because of all the instruments we recorded and the vocals. It's a massive track, and I think it sounds great. And so yeah, let's just get into the Pro Tools session. Okay guys, so welcome back to my video. So right now I'm on Pro Tools. So as you guys can see, I told you guys this is a massive session. So there's about 50 to 60 tracks, and this Pro Tools session is actually completely mixed. So basically what you're seeing here is a completely mixed version of the song. It's not 100% complete. There's a couple of like small changes, like a very minor tweaks that I have to make in the mix, but this is most probably like 90% of the final track that you guys will hear. So it is mixed. There's some balance, some EQs going on, but I don't want to get too much into details of the mix. I want to show you guys the production that we've done. So before I get into the individual acoustic elements that we added to the song to further enhance the song, I want to show you guys what the final version sounds like. So take a listen.
I'm always far ahead when I turn around. I've got running on my mind, on my track, brushing in reverse. I let my life move past.
So I'm going to stop it right there. I don't want to give away too much, but let me just skip to the end of the song, because as I mentioned, like I wanted the end of the song to be that very powerful ending with all the instruments coming together in the end. It's like that grand finale. So that's the kind of effect I was going after. So I just want to play that last section of the song, the last chorus, so you guys know exactly what I'm talking about. And I think the last chorus is the perfect example to showcase like all the elements that we've recorded and everything that we've done. Everything like shows up together in the end of the song. So take a listen to the last chorus.
Over again. I create a montage of moments that hold in my heart, so that I can live them over again.
So yeah, so that's basically that section of the song basically consisted of almost every instrument that we've recorded, both MIDI and acoustic instruments. It has everything. It has all the vocals. So that's kind of the vibe that we went for in this production. So if you can see, the first few tracks over here are the drum tracks. So it's a drum recording. I'll go into that in detail. But if you guys had noticed, like if you guys were listening to this to the song, like on this YouTube video, you guys probably noticed the mix sounds probably odd. It sounds like very mono. Don't worry, that's nothing to do with the mix itself. It's actually the screen recording that I'm doing right now. I'm doing it through a software called OBS, and it only allows me to have a mono input from Pro Tools. So that's the only reason the mix sounds very mono and narrow. The actual mix is actually very wide, but it's fine. It's only for this demonstration that I'm showing you guys. I'm showing you guys the Pro Tools session, so it's just a mono mix. So don't worry about that. But anyways, let's get into the details. Like let's go into the elements that we've added. So if we zoom into the Pro Tools session, you guys can see this drum section that we have. So I'm just going to play the drum section for you guys. This was played by Jonathan, who's our drummer for this song. He's a very talented person, a very talented drummer, and a good friend of mine. If you guys happen to know him, I would really highly suggest using him and calling him for your recordings. I think he's absolutely phenomenal drummer. So for now, I'm just gonna solo the drums so you guys can listen to the drums. Yep. Just give me a second while I solo these drums. So here you go. So these are the drums from the last chorus. So yeah, that was the drums that we recorded. As I told you, Jono, absolutely amazing drummer. And also, we recorded this on the SSL console. So we used the SSL AWS 948. Absolutely beautiful console. I can go on days talking about what a beautiful console it is. Analog console, really beautiful preamps, and we really went all the way with the preamps. Like we had them like technically distorting on the console, but that gave us that really warm saturation that we wanted from the analog desk, which I think played a huge role in getting the sound that we wanted for the drums. So the drums are recorded, as I said, in the SSL console. So we have like the kick in, kick out. I'm not going into too much detail on the mics and the mic placements for this. This I could probably make a video for this later, explaining just the drum techniques, the drum miking techniques that we use for this. But right now I'm not going into too much detail. But this is the drums that we have for this song. We also have a room mic. We have overheads, and we have a separate mic for hi-hats, floor tom, snare bottom, snare top, and the kicks, and the kick in and the kick out. Yeah. So that's basically what we have for drums. And this is recording for the bass. So this track right here is the bass that we recorded. So as I mentioned earlier, we had Mr. Randy, who's also my audio lecturer, he's the one who played the bass for us, and also he's a great bassist. We were lucky enough to have him record for us, and so what the bass that I'm using for this mix is actually the output from one of his pedal board. So basically he did not play this whole song in one go. Excuse me. So he didn't play this whole song in one go. This was actually recorded in parts. So if you guys take a look at the playlist, yeah. So these were like different takes for different sections of the song, and basically we use this technique called comping, where we basically edit and put together all these different takes into one final take. So this is the comped. So the bass that you see up here, this yellow track, is the comped bass, the final bass. So we took the different sections that we liked from the various takes and made it into one big track. And I think comping is something that we've done in various instruments, including the bass, the guitar, and so on. So if you see, the next track that we recorded is the acoustic guitar, which is also comped. So you can see there's different takes here. We've basically just edited them, taken the best ones that we like, and made it one consolidated clip. So we've done the same for the acoustic guitar as well. For the acoustic guitar, we had a very sort of simple sort of recording technique. Just one mic, one condenser at the sweet spot of the guitar, the part of the guitar that where the neck meets the body, which is called the sweet spot. If you're an audio engineer, you probably know what I mean when I say sweet spot of the guitar. So that's a very simple recording technique for the guitar. So this is what the guitar sounds like. The guitar recording sounds like on its own. Although I must say, like, I have some EQs and some compression and some more EQs going on, so it's not a raw recording. But I can like bypass these so you guys can listen to the raw recording of the acoustic guitar. So this is what it sounds like with the EQs. So again, this is more of a mixing thing, but it's just removing that mud and clearing up the guitar. So that's just the EQs I applied, but it's a very simple guitar recording technique. So another element that we have here was the electric guitar, which was played by Harshit, who is one of our collaborators for this song. He is a friend of ours. He is a friend of both Aarti, Ananya, and myself. We had him come over and record the electric guitars for us. So we have two parts of the electric guitar. One is this sort of fill that the electric guitar is playing. So if you guys can listen to it now. So basically that part, I'll play it along with the rest of the song.
Wish I had a way to get it out. And I create a montage.
So we have, that is one of the sections, and the other section that we have with the electric guitar is the electric guitar, the lead or the solo. So it's a very small solo bit for the electric guitar, but it's a really good sounding one, and I'll just play it to you right now. So in terms of recording the electric guitars, we just used a guitar amp, and we had a Neumann TLM 103 just placed in front of it on axis, center of the cone, and it gives a really warm sound. But always something that we do in our recording process is, instead of using just one mic, we use multiple mics and mic up the amp, and then we just choose what we like later. So again, we use a playlist for this. So we have the Neumanns. We use the playlist to have different takes, and we have different mics recording the same electric guitar. For now, those tracks have been hidden because it's not a part of my mix. But if you look on the side, you can see electric DI. There's electric with an SM57 as well. But I found the Neumann having a very warm and more full sound. Some people prefer the 57 as well. Again, a phenomenal mic used by some great artists and great producers. If you guys know Linkin Park had produced a whole record with just SM57s on everything, and it sounded absolutely amazing. So the SM57, great mic. But for this song, I found the Neumann to have a very favorable, a very desirable tone, and that's the reason I used the Neumann for the electric guitar. So the rest of the elements you see here are the same MIDI elements, just exported from Logic into Pro Tools. The reason I did that here is one, because I need to mix it, and also because it serves as sort of a reference when you have artists who are recording, acoustic guitar, drums, electric guitar, and so on. So it's a great tip. Like, if you guys are going to be recording with artists, if you're a producer and you're working with an artist, instead of having your artist play along or sing along to a click, it's better if you guys can give them some reference and they can work on top of that. It really improves that experience of the artist when they work with you. It's more comfortable for them. So anyways, the other elements we have here are our vocals, and I think vocals play a huge part in this song in creating the feel and the emotion that we're going for. And you can see there's a lot of backing vocals for this track. So we have Ananya and Aarti who did the backing vocals, and even I was able to do like a little harmony in the second and the third chorus for this song. So we have Ananya's lead vocals here, which was recorded using a Neumann, and the backing vocals were also recorded using Neumanns and C414s. We just changed the mics a little bit just to add some variation in the tone. That's again a very cool recording slash production technique, because you want that sort of difference between the lead vocals and the backing vocals. You don't want them to be you don't want them to sound the same or like have clashing frequencies when you talk in terms of the mix. So you could create variation by changing the mic that you use to record the backing vocalist and the lead vocalist. That's just a technique that I have learned over the past few months or years, you could say. So that's a pretty cool technique while you're recording vocals, something that you can do. But that's pretty much it. So this is all our recorded elements for the song Montage, and I'm super grateful for being able to produce this, and I'm super grateful for being able to work with some talented people, talented drummers, bassists, guitarists, songwriters, producers, and so on. And I'm really excited for you guys to listen to this song, and I think you guys will absolutely enjoy the song. I think it's a great song. It's well written, and we've put a lot of hard work and time into it. I hope you guys will enjoy the song. Hope to see you guys soon.
Can I create a montage so that